Susie, hello, and this is episode 15, and this is the big one. This one we've got a epic watch along with some of the big creative control boys. That's right, we all clear time from our insanely busy schedules. So good Joe Feeney, Dave Radigan, and John Wanlung, and we all come on to do a watch along for a classic match. So I would say clear time for that. Then we've got the brilliant Joe Feeney coming on. He's talking about those people that were protesting Anthony's book signing. We're talking Kanye West going to see Trump, and then we're doing Dice doing Christmas carols. And then probably the biggest get we've got so far, Bruce Prichard. Yeah, the Bruce Prichard comes on to answer some famous internet message board myths, not pronounced myths, as a lot of people do. But first, plugs. Don't forget that the show has a Patreon, which you can go to get a lot of exclusive content that you can't get on YouTube or iTunes, such as the full, entire, unedited Joe Feeney and Bruce Prichard interviews that you're not going to hear on today's show. And the only place you can get them is on Patreon, and there's also a whole lot of other interviews in there, such as the full, entire, unedited Dave Landau and the full Jim Florentine interview, all up there on Patreon. And don't forget to follow me on social media all over the place. I'm at the Hughezy on Twitter, I'm at the Hughezy on Instagram, and I'm sure I'm on Facebook, but hey, I don't really use Facebook. So find me on there and get in touch. And don't forget to follow Creative Control and the other guests here on the show, such as Creative Control Podcast, hosted by Joe Feeney, World Through My Eyes by Dave Radigan, and Wrestling with Reality by John Wanlung. And don't also forget that to check out the official Keeping It 100 YouTube page, which is the one that I run, that Conan and 100% endorses, and Disco Inferno actually reads the comments. So if you want to have a go at Disco Inferno, or you want to leave a message for him, that's the place to do it. Okay? And the plugs are over. So up first we get Joe Feeney, Dave Radigan, and John Wanlung. We're doing a watch along. This is epic. You might want to clear some time. You might want to queue up the WWE Network and get ready for this. Joe, Dave, Mike, hello. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for coming back on the podcast here. Joe Feeney's joined us. Joe, why don't you plug your social media?
Yeah, you can catch me at JFFeeney3RD on Twitter, and of course the CC Network 1 for all Creative Control Network news on Twitter as well.
And we've got Dave Radigan here. Dave, why don't you plug your social media?
At DK Radigan on Twitter and Instagram. Facebook, David Radigan. And on Twitter, you can follow everything I do on the podcast through Twitter. Again, is at DK Radigan.
We've got the brilliant host of the excellent Wrestling with Reality podcast. Why don't you give yourself a plug there?
At WWR Podcast on Twitter. Look us up on Facebook and give us a like. Wrestling with Reality Podcast.
Okay, well, we're going to do a watch along for another classic, a real epic. This is The Rock versus Eric Rowan. So I've just queued it up and I hit play. And rock bottom, 1, 2, 3. Well, guys, I had a great time watching the match with you. Joe Feeney, why don't you plug your social media?
Yeah, at JFFeeney3RD on Twitter, and to follow the Creative Control Network, you can follow the CC Network 1 on Twitter.
And Dave Radigan, why don't you give yourself a plug there?
Yeah, you can check out my podcast, World Through My Eyes, on iTunes, Stitcher, hipcast.com, and you can follow everything I do on the podcast on Twitter at DK Radigan, Instagram, DK Radigan, Facebook, David Radigan.
And Mr. Wanglin, why don't you give yourself a plug?
At WWR Podcast on Twitter, and check us out and give us a like on Facebook, Wrestling with Reality Podcast.
Thank you, chaps. Joe Feeney, hello.
That loser piece of shit. They had protests outside of they had 3 people. I was hysterical, bro. I laughed like I've never laughed before. It was very, very funny seeing it was that one girl. I referred to her as misogynist, pedophile. She's got it was really like You know what? You know what people don't understand. What I was asking those people standing out in front of it was Barnes and Noble bookstore on. First of all, it wasn't shut down. I read some stuff that the interview or the signing was shut down by Barnes and Noble. No, it was Tribeca. If anyone knows what Tribeca is, it's a very artsy and liberal place in New York City. It's Robert De Niro lives there. Robert. If you're an Anthony Cumia, the last place you want to do a book signing is at Barnes and Noble. I'd say 60, maybe 60 books tops. You know, and there were people, you know, that were coming in, you know, dribbling in. There was no great, you know, huge line looking to get his book signed, but the people that came in were very appreciative. They were very respectful. Everyone at the store was appreciative and respectful. So what I've read on that. That they kicked him out, and that's just. Just hung out and watched him do his book signing, and exciting, you know. I mean, your brother writes a book. It's funny to see. What was funny for me is to point out some of the mistakes that he made in the book, because I was there and I know, you know, there were a couple of things that were just, me and Anthony getting a little bit older. Memory doesn't serve 110% for both of us all the time, so we can kind of check each other. And there are a couple of little mistakes in the book, but we were there, you know. So having those people out front, you know, making a fuss over someone signing a book, you know, regardless of whether he's a racist or not, you want here in the States, you know. I mean, and I'm not conceding to the fact, you know, to the allegations that he's a racist or a white supremacist, but what I'm saying is, even if he were, First Amendment, Bill of Rights, man.
The thing is, as well, when they accuse Ant of being a white supremacist, it's like, oh yeah, because that's who the Klan usually has a lot of. Italian Americans that employ black people. That's a typical white supremacist.
Right? Typical white supremacist. It's crazy. It's insane, man. I mean, it's got to the point. Yeah. And
the other thing about that woman protesting, actually, at first I got annoyed by her, but I actually feel sorry for her, because I don't know if you've seen the footage, but she says this man was in jail 2 weeks ago for attempted murder of his wife. And it's like,
it's like, you know, it's like Bluto Blutarski, you know. Did we quit when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no. You know what I mean? Like Animal House. They don't know what they're talking about. They just babble, you know, hoping to catch someone's ear. There was one guy. He was a little dude. He was a wee man, and he was like getting right up in my face. He was getting right up in my crotch. It really is. Of, you know, this racist, this white supremacist behavior. Let me have examples. Jokes, you know, I mean, are they jokes that he told on there, or was it the fact that he said that he screamed about some black chick that to do that? But it's a natural human reaction. You know what I mean? Regardless, what As far as actions go, these people are more damaging to an individual than the words. That's why when I was saying, words. So now words make you a white supremacist. Words make you a racist. Words make you more dangerous than you are. And I'm pointing to the protesters. Than you are right now, interfering with a guy's book signing, a biography. It's basically a biography, and you're interfering with his book signing because you believe he's a. I mean, a lot of people looked at Milo as the same thing, Yiannopoulos as the same, cut from the same cloth. But regardless of what they may believe or not believe, they still have a right to say what they're saying. And for people to go out and protest, that is just, well, it's a. Through, 3 morons standing out front chasing away their customers,
The thing that's stupid is the really dumb lies. They're trying to make out that nobody's bought the book. But if you put Anthony's name into Twitter or Instagram, there's pictures of hundreds of people holding up the book. And it's like, so where the
about what Anthony's always said, like his radio radio notoriety and later on podcasting and stuff. It doesn't matter, who you have watching you, whether they hate you or love you, as long as they're watching. And that's really all that matters. That's really all that matters. The percentage of people that actually go out there and, pull the shit this. It gets word out there that you have a book. Now I mean their protest is helping him sell books.
Yeah. They're called free publicity. It's not.
And then of course, I mean, the biggest issue was my inability to speak coherently and to be a mouth breathing knuckle dragger and all the popular terms that I've become known as. That was like that was most of what was written on these threads that I pop in to read every so often. I relented. I went to that site and I started reading about it only because I heard from a couple of people, they're talking about you on. Okay, so what else is new? Does it have anything to do with my pedophilia or my racism? No, it's got to do with you standing out in front defending your brother at a board of books. He's so stupid. He's really stupid. Listen to how he talks. All right.
Yeah, but the thing is, what were you supposed to say? Because they were dying to be offended by you. Like, you could have said, anybody want to talk? Oh, why? Because I'm a Pakistani?
That was me saying, my brother is a white supremacist, and that's it. It just says, it's like the clip opens, it goes, my brother is a white supremacist, and it cuts. That's it. So, I mean, obviously, I know exactly what I said. I said, if my brother is a white supremacist, then I'm an African American. I mean, it's that ridiculous that you look at you would look at Anthony as any thinking individual look at Anthony as a racist or a white supremacist, and then turn around and look at look at me and say, "Oh yeah, that's a black gentleman." I mean, it's that ridiculous. So, they, and of course, it's like, they learned that from the radio show. Opie was infamous for doing that.
By the way, I'm about to actually introduce you. Thanks, Joe Feeney, for coming on the podcast again.
No worries, man. I enjoy doing your podcast. I have fun hanging out with you, man.
Well, there's a question about a subject that we're dying to speak to you about for since the last time we come on. That Kanye West went to the White House to meet Donald Trump, and it was broadcast in the news. Now, I'm not a Kanye West fan, but do you not find it weird how in America liberals don't allow black people to have freedom of speech?
Oh, that was, yeah. Well, it depends on what that black person's saying. I mean, you got a Maxine Waters, and I mean, find them at gas stations, find them at restaurants, and harass them, and call up your friends, and I mean, that is, sure, they enjoy that type of freedom of speech, but for someone like Kanye to and admittedly, I mean, I don't know a thing about Kanye West. I really don't. Other than that, he had a sit down with Donald Trump. But his music, I've never listened to. I've never heard. I couldn't tell you the name of a single song that he released. But one thing that I do have respect for him, is the fact that he stepped up and spoke his mind. Regardless of what it is. I mean, and it wasn't, it wasn't like this. Speech is allowed. That type of hate speech is allowed. But to have a Kanye come into the White House and sit down and speak with President Trump is everything that the left doesn't want.
If that's the thing, if you're black, you're only allowed one point of view, and if you don't, then you're mentally ill and you're a turncoat and you're brainwashed, and it's like, that's not fair at all.
Yeah, that's the way the left operates these days. I mean, they need to shut people off that have anything intelligent to say, because of the nature of their beliefs. I mean, they need to shut people off. Like Milo, for instance. I keep going back to that to that guy, but he was cut off completely. I mean, you don't hear shit from him anymore, ever, anywhere. His Twitter was knocked out, taken away. Speaking engagements canceled by massive protests, and people calling it hate speech. Every time he spoke, every time he would do an event, you would get half the crowd, excuse me, screaming that that he's spewing hate speech, and the other half of the liberal, usually student crowd at a college campus, be going like, huh, wait a minute, yeah, I mean, there's a point there, maybe one, small point that they agree with, and that is the catalyst for, major change for the way these people think, and they just can't allow that from anyone. How many people have been shut down? My brother on Twitter, I mean, there are people that agree with him wholeheartedly, 100%, everything he says. I don't, but there are people that agree with Anthony 100%, everything that he says. And then there are people that will not agree with a single thing that, a single point he brings up. But he's an intelligent human being, so he's dangerous. He's dangerous to, to their cause, to their hard left, progressive liberal agenda. They make it, they make it impossible for him to speak. They have social media on their side. They have the mainstream media on their side. So these people get silenced, and that's un-American. That's 100% un-American.
Yeah, Jim Florentine was on the podcast last week, and he said that what Ant does that pisses the liberals off is that Ant posts would talk about actual proven facts. Which
he posts proven facts. What does he do?
Yeah, and and then he says, and that pisses off the liberals because it goes against their agenda.
Yeah,
because Ant would say, like, no, this actually happened, and then they would go, shut him down. He goes,
these people out in front of Anthony's book signing. It was it was just no facts, no facts, no figures, no data, nothing logical, nothing you could hold on to. And well, he had Gavin McInnes on his network. That makes him a racist. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I had David Duke on my podcast, but they can't possibly argue with you, so they default back to the same thing. Name calling, just blatant. I don't want to hear what you have to say. This is what I believe, and I'm putting this out there, and I'm going to try to get people to believe me. Most of the people walking in into Borders were just disgusted with these idiots. Borders, Barnes and Noble. They were disgusted with these idiots standing out front. Saying nothing really, nothing of substance. They had nothing to. And how much more logical can you be than to say, look, give me an example. I want to know how my brother has harmed the African-American race or Hispanic people or Asians or, indigenous Americans, American Indians. I want to know how he has harmed them. And I want to know, I want to hear from you why you have the right to do this to someone that's done nothing to anyone else. And they have no answer for that. But he's a racist. That's it. That's all you have. He's a racist based on the fact that you say he's a racist. Why? Because he did the what the hell's the old oh man, it comes down to comedy being stifled. I mean, everything these days is being shut down and stifled because of this idiotic belief that that what you say is fact, regardless of whether you have data to back it up with.
But it's just the liberal mindset is that they're going too far now towards getting to the point, but not that it's going to change anyone's political thinking, but like this new thing where you're not allowed to accuse. But that doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah.
Speaking of sense, you were a Seinfeld fan growing up, yeah?
Yeah, I used to watch.
Do you think Jerry ever banged Julie Louis-Dreyfus in real life?
Maybe for the money. She's the wealthiest actress ever in history because of the Dreyfus funds and all that stuff. I don't know, maybe for the money, because Jerry is.
Why doesn't she take off her panties?
Holy shit! It's an Irish Seinfeld. That's awesome.
Gary Seinfeld.
That's really good, man.
Who are these people that don't? I mean, come on. She's a hot chick and she's got money. Come on,
Jerry. Wow.
Jerry, why can't I? Do you think Julie Louis-Dreyfus should be the greatest wife of all time?
I think, honestly, yeah, I think he did at one point or another. I think they had a little something going on. But that's my opinion. I have no data. I have no facts. I have nothing to back that up with. But I think so. So it happened.
Yeah, especially around season 6 or 7, because
little fancy girly under things, right? Well, that there was a stink raised by the LGBT community that that they had no transgendered people as models. Victoria's girl, man, boy. Unless you're one of those like a big issue that they never had a transgendered model. So they countered with, hey, we have no use for it. And really think about it, man. You're walking past the Victoria's Secret window at the mall or something. You look over and you see these, shapely, young, firm, beautiful little girls in, in these sexy lingerie. And the last thing you want to see is what is plainly a man in girls' underwear.
yeah.
I've yet to see one that really pulls it off. I've never seen one that really pulls it off. I can spot it.
And the thing is, nobody wants to see a plus-size model in underwear because there's nothing unsexier than a giant pizza fart.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Speaking of sexy, just as we're about to wrap up, obviously this time in about 28 days, it's Christmas. And there's nothing more Christmassy than Andrew Dice Clay.
Is there?
So I've got,
really?
So there's the classic song, because Christmas, it's a time for whoas. So I've got the Christmas song as redone by Andrew Dice Clay, if you're interested.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Here we go.
Of course I'm interested.
See if I've got a pen to smoke here, whatever. My nuts roasting on an open mouth. My dripping off your nose. Yuletide carols being shoved up your and folks dressed up like one of those. Everybody knows some turkey and will help make the season. Oh! Nigga, tiny. Will find it hard to sleep tonight because they get. They know that Santa's. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies up his. And every mother's child is going to walk downstairs and say, Mother.
Goodies.
Goodness, everyone. Toys for you and for good.
Wow. Yeah, you may need to release that. I think you need a widespread release on that one.
Oh, I'll be releasing wide open. Someday I have my.
That was a slow pitch, man. So I hit 500 subscribers on my YouTube channel. I think it's all.
And the thing is as well about the subscribers is that these people just the one last Anthony thing, but they keep talking about the go, oh, he's in obscurity now. It's like, yeah, they know everything he does.
Everything. I know.
They follow him by, and
well, that's like, what I said. He He was on a JetBlue Mint, first class flight out to LA to do all these podcasts, and he posted that. You probably saw that, but my loser brother. Oh, look at him and Keith flying first class out to LA to do the top. Books. He's going to be getting out to literally hundreds of thousands of people, that will be aware of his book coming out. And he's the loser. He's the one who's in obscurity. And I just don't get it. It's what they post as fact what they wish for. They wish it was that way. And I guess they think, hey, if I post it, then it's true. Then it happened. I don't get it. I'll never get it. And the only way I'll ever interact with them is like this, where I get to sit here and babble the way they do. They get to speak. I was actually banned from that site. I cannot get an account on the on the site that they love. But this is a nice outlet. I get to speak my mind, and I know they'll be watching. So,
thank you, Joe. Go clear that throat, Bruce Prichard. I can't believe I'm saying this. Hello, Bruce Prichard. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Good, thank you for having me.
And also, it's extra exciting for me because I got tickets for your and Conrad's live show here in Belfast. And I think I was literally the first person to buy the ticket.
Even better. I like that. I always screw up. I go real fast. And sometimes I guess I mispronounce it. I was saying Belfast just because I sometimes am going through fast and I want to make sure that it's Glasgow. You got to do it instead of Glasgow, and people get upset at that. So it's Belfast.
Oh, yeah.
That's the right way, and I know that, but sometimes I screw up on the show, and I just do what I can, man. But I'm looking forward to it. I've been to Belfast before. See, I say it fast, and absolutely loved it. So my most prized Hard Rock Cafe possessions are from Belfast.
Are you looking forward to doing some of the drinking over here?
Might have a few adult beverages while we're there. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I know it's wrong to boast, but I don't think anybody does pubs like Ireland in December.
Well, I'm looking forward to find out.
Well, just as we get to the first question here, one of the things I want to ask you is, obviously, you've had years of being a backstage writer, a producer, a booker, and now I guess you could call it like an analyst. So the question I would ask you is, can you still enjoy wrestling as a fan, or do you still see it with that older type of point of view?
Well, you know what? I started out as a fan, and I've always been a fan all the way through it. So you try to create when you're creating, not just for yourself, but for what the audience wants and what the audience is looking for and what they all buy and enjoy the most. And the only way to do that is still to have that viewpoint as a fan. So while I still put on the critic's hat when I watch today, I try to sit back and just enjoy it and see what they're going to do and try and remove myself. That's the best way to watch.
In the preparation for you doing this interview, one of the things that I try to the most is, because I'm a long time fan of you, like ever since I even became I've always loved Brother Love. I thought he was great. So I've been a fan of you as a podcaster for a long, long time. And I've tried to come up with questions that you've possibly not spoken about as much.
Go for it, man. I'm happy. Let's go.
Okay, well, one of the first big rumors I remember hearing about was in the later 90s was when Chris Jericho was initially coming into WWE. The rumor I'd read from a certain journalist was that Chris Jericho's original plan, or the original booking plan, was that Jericho was coming in as the new leader of a babyface DX, but the Triple H had that shut down.
Yeah, that's not even remotely close to being true.
Oh, was there ever plans to bring Jericho in as a face, or was it always a heel?
The idea, as far as I know, and I don't know what Vince Russo had in mind on his end, because Russo left before Jericho ever came in. But as far as everything that I've ever experienced and what we were talking about with Chris Jericho was always to introduce him as a heel and bring him in exactly the way they brought him in. So that to me, and I'm not saying that someone might have discussed that at some point, but from Vince's standpoint, from what was actually seriously considered to take place, that was not something that was seriously considered to take place. So it never got to that discussion point with us.
Here's another rumor, and this is one of these brilliantly, and this has got to be true because I read this on a message board, so it has to be true.
There you go.
Shawn Michaels versus Ultimate Warrior was the original plan for SummerSlam 1996 or WrestleMania 13.
No. I can't. No. Not even close. Ultimate Warrior was being brought in as an attraction during that time. When we brought him in there at WrestleMania 12, the idea behind bringing him back was to be an attraction and to be that almost the Andre the Giant or Hulk Hogan attraction at the time. He wasn't coming in to work a full schedule. He wasn't coming in to be on the road all the time. And it was... At that time, Vince really had an idea that he wanted to push Shawn Michaels and that he wanted to continue the story that we had with Bret and Shawn. But Warrior, and also even coming into it through the summer when Warrior left and then was subsequently fired, no, unfortunately. Y'all got some strange rumors over there.
Oh, over here, everybody's hungover so much. There's nothing to do but read message boards.
Well, okay. Well, see, then it's if it was on the internet, you have to believe it. Then I guess.
When it comes to WrestleMania, even back like in the 80s to the 90s, how far ahead would the main match be planned?
Ideally, we would know a year ahead of time, but as years went on, it became more and more difficult to do that. You would have in the back of your head a good idea and a possible plan, but you also have to, with live television and doing TV live every week, it became that we could adjust, and we found that a lot of times plans were not as good as we got into it a little bit more. We just found that, you know what, maybe we need to make a right turn here and do something else. So with live television, we were able to change up our plans and listen to the audience a little more and make changes on the fly. So what we might have thought we were going to do at WrestleMania, we may end up doing at Royal Rumble, or we may end up doing it on television. So it just really depended on what they were buying at the time.
Do you know if there was any WrestleMania 13 plans for Ultimate Warrior?
We were looking for, with Ultimate Warrior, there weren't, because we didn't know what we had. We had an idea that this guy was going to come in and we would be able to put him up at the top of the card. But at the same time, at WrestleMania 12, okay, which is when Warrior returned and that Shawn won the championship, the initial working idea was to return at WrestleMania 13 with the Bret and Shawn return, which Shawn then lost his smile and we never had. For Ultimate Warrior, we hadn't given it that much thought because Warrior was just coming back into the fold, and he didn't last that long to be able to give it that much thought.
Was it awkward when somebody like Warrior came in with his salary and then you realized he really isn't drawn for us?
Sometimes, but it's, again, everybody is different, and the rumor and innuendo of what you hear with different guys and what they allegedly were getting paid are usually so enhanced and just not true unless the guy wants to show you his paycheck and show you a year's worth of paychecks and his tax returns. It's hard to believe a lot of times what guys either claim they made or what other people claim they made. Show your tax returns, and if you want to talk about it, cool. I just never, because I negotiated a lot of the contracts, I never felt it was my place to talk about what other people made. And that was confidential, and that was something between them, and if they wanted to divulge it, more power to them.
Here's one, and you'll probably laugh in my face and actually attack me next week for this one. But in 2002, Vince wanted to add The Undertaker to the NWO.
Remind me to slap you when I see you. Not even remotely. No.
Yeah, I thought that one wasn't going to go down well.
Yeah, that one I can guarantee you was never even discussed.
Yeah, that one was even during my Marcus days. I remember reading that thinking, no way Warriors being Scott Hall's sidekick or Undertaker.
Yeah, not happening.
But I mean, speaking of slaps, what was your take on the public reaction to the Nia Jax accident with Becky Lynch?
I think that the audience sometimes has become, too smart for their own good, that they think that they truly understand everything that's going on. Accidents happen. Things happen. It's not ballet. If somebody gets hurt in the ring, that's an unfortunate reality of the business. So the fact that it changed plans is something that for those in the know, okay, they have to deal with it. But if the audience just takes it as entertainment, you take it for what it is and enjoy it. Just sit back and enjoy it. Don't try and analyze it. Nia, she was out there. She was doing her job. Becky was doing her job. An accident took place. Becky got hurt. They had to make changes, and they had to change things around for the Survivor Series. At the end of the day, when you look at what is going to take place and what they will have come WrestleMania, whatever, it might be better than what they originally had. I mean, this could be a blessing in disguise, could be the best thing that ever happened to Becky, could be the best thing that ever happened to Nia, could be the best thing that ever happened to Charlotte and, oh my God, Ronda.
Yeah.
So you have to make the most out of whatever situation you have. And I think that for people to get on Nia Jax about hitting someone in a physical sport, get over it, folks. Guys get hurt and guys get popped every single day. And, man, accidents happen.
Yeah, and the thing with a lot of those fans is, like, that's why non-wrestlers aren't supposed to try, because they're trained and even they can make mistakes every once in a while.
Sure, and it's just one of those situations that people look at and they go, oh, well, boy, she did that. She should never wrestle again. It's just not the best. Owen Hart made a mistake, and Steve Austin got injured and changed the trajectory of his career. It has happened on down the line. The most skilled and the best in the business, they will have a mistake here and there. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality of the business. And everybody knows that when you step into the ring, that the reality is that you could get popped. You could get hurt. You could slip outside and break your neck due to no one's fault. But it's a dance, and you just try and make the best out of it.
And the weird thing is, this one botch made Rousey, Flair, Jax, and Lynch probably four of the biggest draws in wrestling right now. So either way, those ladies are having huge WrestleMania matches, whether the critics like it or not.
Right, and it got a lot of people talking about it. So, again, credit to all of them, and I hope that they all make the most out of it. And I think that they will, because Charlotte went out and proved that she can have a great match with Ronda and left people wanting more. So I think they're going to want more of Charlotte. They're going to want more of Becky. And then you throw the monster in there, and why not? Get people talking.
And plus, that means there's a chance that there's going to be an Irish person headlining WrestleMania. So WWE's going to go over here.
Well, you always got an Irishman over there. Vince is involved in it, so it's he's Irish. I love him, that big tough. Back from one of those DNA things, and I'm all Irish, Scandinavian, and English. Little bit of Greece, but everything else, I am like concentrated in that area. I have nothing from any other place around the world. So I'm one of your countrymen, by God.
Well, don't mention the English part when you come to Ireland next year.
But the majority of it is all Ireland and Scotland.
Good, because if you mention the English one, the code Vince, you're fired.
No, man. It's I'm looking for the percentages here. Yeah, Irish, Scottish, Welsh, Scandinavian, and English is way down there. But I have more Greek in me than English. But it's all right there, man. Ireland, Scotland. I like it. My mom's maiden name was McDermott.
Oh. So,
yeah, I come from good Scottish and Irish stock.
Would you like to hear a little Irish fact that actually sounds racist, but it's actually true?
What's that?
Pierce Brosnan grew up opposite the street from where my granny lived back in the day. So that's how small Ireland is.
Nice.
So just to get back to these Mark questions, because I can't deny the fact
the
that
rumor and innuendo, I like to call.
The true lies, the fake news questions.
Exactly.
Well, the original, I've heard this story that for WrestleMania 9, every original planned match for that card had to be changed. And some of those matches were Hogan versus Giant Gonzalez, Undertaker versus Yokozuna, Macho Man versus Ultimate Warrior, and Bret Hart versus Scott Steiner.
Absolutely none of those. The only thing with the Scott Steiner thing is when we wanted to bring the Steiners in, Pat Patterson and I originally wanted to bring Scott in alone as a single, have Scott win the Royal Rumble and have the match that night for Scott to become the champion. Vince was like, yeah, that's never going to happen. He didn't want a newcomer and someone that he felt that the audience didn't know to come in and do something like that. Yokozuna was somebody that had just started, and the thing about Yoko was every time that Yoko would take his robe off in every arena, there would be just an audible ooh reaction from the crowd. So we thought, well, Yoko, who the hell's going to get him over the top rope in the Battle Royal at Royal Rumble? That made sense for him to win it. I pushed heavily for the Royal Rumble to have consequences, a la the winner gets something at WrestleMania. So the idea at that time was, the only thing that changed is we got closer to it was when we got the encore for the pay-per-view, which meant that you have the pay-per-view on Sunday and then we replayed it for a week after that and we're able to plug it. Normally you had two shots. You had the live opportunity to see the pay-per-view and then you could see it on a replay that night, but you couldn't see it after that. So when we did that, the idea of Hogan, what if, this unadvertised, this craziness happened? And that was why, a lot of the reason why we did it. And also Hogan wanted to have the belt when he went overseas, but that's a whole nother story, what took place there. So that was always the plan. The plan was always for Bret and Yoko and for Yoko to win the championship, to be this unbeatable monster. And we got there in the summer, but not exactly the way that we wanted to. And originally, we wanted Hogan in a single match. Beefcake was somebody that Hogan really wanted. They felt that Beefcake, it was time for him to come back. had to protect his face, and Hogan felt that it would be a better match if it was a tag team match, and wanted to work with DiBiase and IRS because he trusted them. So those matches were, once we got into it, those were in stone. And the Undertaker Giant Gonzalez match, he's never let me forget that. Undertaker hasn't. But we worked to that one too. So yeah, boy, I think something happens between here and over there with some of the rumor and innuendo. I've never even heard these.
Oh, I heard also there was plans for Marty Jannetty versus Shawn Michaels and a Mr. Perfect versus Ric Flair match.
There were.
Oh,
there were, but yeah, there were. That part actually we did have but the idea was Rick gave his notice, and we got the Mr. Perfect and Ric Flair match right there, live the day that Vince granted him his notice.
See, the thing, you'll never really know what it's like to be a true wrestling geek, Mark, because you actually worked in the business. So for a nerd like this to get any sort of insider info, it's like just hook it into my veins, you know?
No, it's all good, and it was, but some of that is Marty Jannetty and Shawn. That was something that we did want to do, and it was short-lived due to Marty having some challenges and different demons, we like to say. But that was also something that was talked about. But the Kurt Hennig and Ric Flair, that was something that we got on TV after Rick had given his notice. But we were working to eventually have that match.
And just as you mentioned him, as you said that he was Undertaker's favorite match of all time and that Undertaker loves it. But do you think that Giant Gonzalez, and I'm being genuine here, but do you think that he is Hall of Fame worthy? Because, like, for me, he wasn't like the greatest technical guy of all time, but he's memorable, and he doesn't have to be the headliner of the Hall of Fame. But I think he does deserve an induction at some point.
Well, for Giant Gonzalez, he's memorable. The only thing is he didn't last very long anywhere. He had a very limited run in WCW, and he had a very limited run with us. He wasn't able to take the career, wasn't able to do anything beyond those very small and short limited runs. And then he went back to basketball. So I would not say that he had anything resembling a Hall of Fame career. Super nice guy, sweetheart of a man, but his heart wasn't in it. He really didn't understand, or he had no love for the business. He was doing it as a job. But yeah, I don't know about that one.
Was Hogan versus Giant Gonzalez ever considered?
No.
Probably couldn't slam him, brother.
That's it. Oh, he would have won. No, he would have got him somehow.
I would. I gotta be honest. See, while that may not have been the greatest match, that would be the hype for that. Would just be like,
exactly.
You just know Hogan would have went into overtime, and then Vince doing the voiceover for the video packages. It's the Giants.
Exactly.
I gotta text Vince and try to see what he can do here. Here's a rumor from WrestleMania 14. While apparently the plan was always Austin versus Shawn Michaels, the headline. The rumor I've read is that Bret Hart versus Ken Shamrock was somehow considered for the in the mid card.
Well, I don't even remember. But I'm sure at some point we probably would have wanted to get Bret and Shamrock together. Yeah, that's for sure.
I think I remember them working a match on Raw once or twice, but I doubt them. I don't remember them ever like really getting the time to fully put on a clinic.
Yeah, I think that Bret and Shamrock would have had great matches, and that could have been a hell of a program.
Here's another one for you. The original early plans for WrestleMania 15 was Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Triple H, but it was changed after The Rock got so over at SummerSlam 1998.
Oh boy, see, I have to think years, and I have to think going into where we were, but I'm pretty sure that it was Rock, because he was the up and coming star, and that's where they wanted to get to. But it was Rock as the champion at that time, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it was then that's where they did the whole thing that we just talked about at Survivor Series with the switch, and that at that point was planned all that time to go into WrestleMania with Rock and Steve.
It's a shame that guy Rock's really faded into obscurity. I mean, he's just wasting his life.
Yeah, I mean, mid-card guy at best, and I don't know if he'll ever make anything with his life.
No personality.
Poor guy. No. Can't cut a promo. Nobody really cares about him. Average look, yeah. Yeah, I think Rock's done all right for himself.
I don't know. I mean, he only made 120 million. Like, can he not just do 130 like a normal person?
Exactly.
Such a loser. I'll tweet him after this. Me and Vince aren't speaking to The Rock. Here's another one. Another Steve Austin rumor that for WrestleMania 18, the plan was for Steve Austin versus Triple H in a face versus face match, and Austin was to put over Triple H, but Austin refused.
No, that was never discussed.
No. I gotta say though, but it's a shame we never really got that Austin versus Triple H return match.
Yeah, and it also would have been a whole lot different had we done something different after WrestleMania 17 with those guys, as far as Steve turning heel and Hunter turning babyface. I think it would have made a big difference. Then, if we had done that, that could have been the main attraction at WrestleMania 18.
Here's one again, including that nobody, The Rock. For WrestleMania 20, the initial plan was The Rock versus Shawn Michaels.
I don't think we even had The Rock at that time. I know WrestleMania 20 was where we got to the triple threat, and a lot of that was changed as we got closer into it, and we made some adjustments. But I don't think Rock wasn't even a part of that show at all. So I don't think we ever had him to begin with.
That was the one where he did the Rock and Sock Connection versus Evolution.
Okay, then that was the deal with Mick.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the issue. Was we didn't have Rock for a long time, and he came back to do that, and that's why, again, you want to have somebody for a build up, and you want to have somebody afterwards for that kind of a main event deal. And Mick, that whole issue with those guys, it just kind of worked, but I don't think we had a lot of The Rock going into it or out of it. And with the championships in those main matches with Eddie and with Benoit there, it just made a lot of sense. It was Eddie and Kurt Angle, and then Hunter and Shawn and Benoit. So they were all already in a program working that way. And a lot of that was probably made 3 to 4 months ahead of time.
Whatever way it worked out, I thought WrestleMania 20 had some brilliant matches, so we all win in the end,
Yeah.
And just the final WrestleMania rumor that I would love to ask. Like, obviously, he passed away about 6 months before the event, but apparently the rumor is that the plan for WrestleMania 22 was not Shawn Michaels versus Vince McMahon, but Shawn Michaels versus the brilliant Eddie Guerrero.
Well, I would love to have had that happen. To me, that's a dream match that we didn't get, and that's something that I think the audiences would have loved. To me, Eddie and Shawn were almost interchangeable as far as their skill, their charisma, and that's something that I'm always used to describe Eddie as the Mexican Shawn Michaels. So it was that's something I definitely would have loved to have seen.
Eddie Guerrero is the only guy that he could turn the most conservative Christian into a foul-mouthed guy, because when you watch his matches, you just go, how did he do that?
Eddie Guerrero was, man, he was the best. I just thoroughly loved Eddie.
Yeah, and he's one of these guys where I just love doing it with the network, where you just randomly take, right, Eddie Guerrero versus, and scroll down and go, right, here's the next 2 hours.
Yes, and Eddie could work with anybody and make them look great and make it look easy.
Just as we come up to the final 2 questions, it's inevitable that you're going into the Hall of Fame soon. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, I doubt it, but
come on. For Brother Love alone, never mind the behind the scenes contributions you've done, but like you're one of those people where it's like he's going into that Hall of Fame. So I gotta ask the question that you've probably been asked a million times before. If you could pick someone to induct you, is it one of the headbangers?
Yeah, definitely probably be Chaz. Yeah, without a doubt. Well, I don't think that I will ever go in. It's kind of you to say that, but I just don't think it's one of those things that's ever going to happen. At least while I'm alive. But I don't. It's mental masturbation. So to sit there and think about, well, who would, what if? I wouldn't even have a clue who would induct me or do it. So the headbangers might be the guys.
If all 3 of you could come out wearing those skirts and jumping around the stage, that's gonna go viral.
Exactly.
And just this final question, Bruce, and this is the big question, and your entire career and legacy revolves on this question. The Spice Girls are back. Who's your favorite Spice Girl?
Oh my God, Mel B. Scary. You don't love Mel B. Come on. She's the only one I know too.
Well, personally, I'm more of a baby Spice kind of girl, because she looks like she knows her way around a good hot dog.
Well, I've heard Mel B does too. Just saying.
I've heard she's into a hot dog and a little bit more.
Maybe it's kielbasa's and sausage, and it's not a bad thing.
What do you think Vince would like most about Mel B?
Damn it. He likes titties. Yeah. I think it's all right there for him. And they're chocolate. Gotta love it.
Well, Bruce, I just got to tell you, it's so amazing that you would take the time to do this. I'm away a bit longer than we agreed, and I can't wait to meet you and shake your hand for all the brilliant stuff you've done for us over the years.
Well, man, I look forward to it. I look forward to being in Belfast. When am I there? We're there on Tuesday, right?
Is it?
I don't see. You know what? I am ashamed of myself that I don't have it up, because I got into the interview and I'm sitting here just having a good time, and I never even went and pulled up all the schedule, but I'm pulling it up as we speak, because I'm leaving here on Sunday. So we're going to be in Belfast on Wednesday.
Oh,
Wednesday, December the 5th at the Black Box. So we're going to be in Glasgow on Tuesday the 4th. So I'm looking forward to it. Then we go over to that other place there in England. So, okay, so in Belfast, they hate England, right?
Oh, like you wouldn't believe it.
Okay. So but they like Scotland.
They can take it or leave it, but
well, the Irish like Irish.
Oh, well, that's because we're amazing.
Yes, I agree. You can't argue that point.
Thank you.
I'm just I'm there with you. So it's always have to be, because everybody was telling me, well, Belfast is not part of the UK. However, when you look it up on a weather map, it says the UK.
Yeah, well, technically it is, but it kind of leads to an unusual debate.
Yes, and it's really Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I like to say. Okay, in Glasgow, Scotland.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So then England's that damn UK stuff.
is what I say.
Yes, God bless the Irish.
Yes, God bless Bruce Prichard, and take care of Conrad as well.
All right, man. Well, Adam, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on.
See, the fact that I got Bruce Prichard on goes to prove to you that I'm not a liar, because I said a couple of weeks ago I was going to get him, and thankfully he came on way, way sooner than I assumed. So stuff like Eric Bischoff and the Anthony Cumia interviews and Jim Brewer, they are coming. Just hang the F on. So that's the show. It's Hughezy. Bye-bye. And if you're watching on YouTube, write something. Leave a comment. Do something with your life. Thank you. Bye-bye.